Probably the most exciting thing that everyone wants to know is what am I getting out of Notion next? Notion's first virtual summit, Block into Block Europe, gave us our first insights into that. Is there a lot to discuss? You bet. With thousands of participants with a global footprint. For Notioners, it was a big thing for sure. Notion proved once again that the power of Notion is within its databases. How big is that statement? You decide after you hear out my 7 key takeaways that I gathered from the summit. Even if you carefully look at the individual session agenda, you will notice new to Notion, project management, APIs, and marketing taking the limelight. On the surface, you can see that project management and marketing is tuned more towards teams. So in that summit, Notion confirmed that 80% of Notion users are outside the US. And following that intention, they said they want to have a stronger focus on non-US customers as well. And they indicated that at least in 2 ways. One with new offices and the second one by introducing Notion in new languages. So they validated that with the introduction of the new office in Dublin, Ireland, and they announced their development efforts to a French translation to be launched later this year, following the launch of Korean last year. Ivan, the founder and the CEO of Notion, announced sync blocks today. But it isn't new, right? We had global blocks, which became slightly better with sync blocks and came to us in public beta. But let's read between the lines. It's now out of beta, and when it was in beta, they made a number of bug fixes to make the product a little better. Better still, let's look at the Notion thought process. First, they introduced relations, rollups, and linked databases, and then backlinks, and now it's sync blocks. So while filling up the gap with apps like Roam Research, they have put several steps forward to enhancing user workflows to work with the same data. The idea to collaborate between your own information as much as with teams is a great one. If you take the example of Apple, the people who push the Apple ecosystem forward are their users and the developers. So, why should Notion be any different? While not calling it a developers conference, they are inviting developers to come forward and build more use cases for the API. By linking API integrations with teams, they cater to a wider audience in one go. By showcasing this thought process with Slack, GitHub, MailChimp, and Calendar, they are pointing towards collaboration-related use cases for APIs. Again for Notion, calling out Python and Java, it's trying to call out to these type of developers. Without leaving this thought process halfway, they added mention to @Spoke and Tray.io. @Spoke helps with Slack integration for Notion knowledge bases. And Tray.io helps with integrations into apps like Salesforce, Zendesk, and Intercom. So what about all the benefits for the individuals? The announcement of the IFTTT integration, a much sought after request from the community, helps in that direction. I just wanted to remind you here that the APIs are a two-way sync. So when Notion takes action and exposes what it will take in or give out, it doesn't help by itself. The other party has to cooperate. Notion seems to be seriously polling in user requirements towards enhancing Notion's capabilities. APIs have led the pack for a significant period of time, and Notion has been actively collaborating with developers during the private beta and much more aggressively in the public beta. We can hope to see many more use cases with the API going forward, and it's likely to be a flagship of the Notion stable. So Notion showed us a glimpse of their roadmap, and the next biggest vote seems to be coming in for project management and Gantt charts. But didn't they introduce the timeline view? The timeline view did bring about some positive changes towards project management, but it's quite rudimentary in the larger scheme of things. In the showcase section, Notion introduced 4 customers: Clio, who deal with smart cards and automated expense management to simplify company spending. They seem to be using Notion in marketing, in documentation, project meetings, and status meetings. Personio's focus is towards HR solutions. Their focus for using Notion is around areas related to team meetings, project planning and management, notes, marketing and collaboration, and more. Monzo, the digital and fintech bank in the UK, their focus was on collaboration using Slack and Notion, product and marketing, UI and UX related design workflows, knowledge management, and documentation. And finally, Station F, a startup campus provider. They talked about how Notion helps in their company documentation, knowledge and team management, events and community building, and communication efforts. As you can see, Notion is trying to focus on the small and medium enterprises. And the areas that they seem to be focused on are marketing and communications, projects and meetings, business workflows, and knowledge management. And a large part of it is where teams use Notion. So you can now see that Notion is likely to invest in small and medium-sized organizations. If you think of it very honestly, the individual is likely to gain because he uses Notion for his personal or his professional work. So my inference is that they won't be specifically neglecting individuals, but they are much more focused towards delivering for teams. If you're not yet part of this community, do consider subscribing and don't forget to hit the bell icon to stay notified of new videos. If you liked this video, consider sharing it with your friends. Stay safe, stay healthy. Peace.